Good morning. Aloha. It has been so long since I have done a video. My goal is always to be consistent and then life and then seasons. Seasons are new and exciting and interesting, and it's definitely been some acclimating for me after being in the rainforest in Hawaii for so long. And I do have regrets about not keeping a journal. While I was there, I probably should have been writing my experiences down, but I didn't. So I am going to try to capture some of them here. I mean to sit down and write, and I just don't always have the time to write. And I was in an online interview this morning, and I had, my webcam set up, and I decided I should just probably get another YouTube out there. So I'm going to do a series called the Kori Story. Basically just about my adventures and my time in Hawaii. I was building a wellness center in the rainforest, the Aloha rainforest, and I am a medicine woman. I am a massage therapist, hypnotherapist, and work with uh, lots of the different elements, energetics, herbs, and did work with the Kahuna in Hawaii, and saw a lot of things and want to share those things before I forget those things. Um, and I had told one story before in one of my courses that I was teaching with Queen Nadia for Success World 1. And so I think I will start with that one. And I'm going to try to keep these short, maybe 10 minutes. Um, but I do want these stories to be recorded because they were amazing and transformative. This is a story about the Io, which is my Aumakua, which would be like my family lineage, the animal spirit that I relate to, like a totem animal, I guess, in Native American thought. And the Io is my Aumakua. I had been in the islands for a long time before I recognized it as such. I was a bow hunter at one time. I had been a vegetarian for a long time because of, I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Omnivore's Dilemma. Meat eating was an ethical dilemma for me. And then I had had some health challenges at different times, and so went back to eating meat occasionally and did have an ethical dilemma about that. So I felt that in order for me to feel at peace with that, that I needed to hunt my own meat, uh, that I needed to be able to do that myself. So in Hawaii, on the Big Island, Hawaii's like a little bit like Galapagos as far as, it's very far away. And so many of the species that are there uh, evolved and are endemic to the Hawaiian Islands. And they're not found anywhere else in the world. And they don't have natural defenses against predators or invasive species. So invasive species are quite a problem in the Hawaiian Islands. And so, of course, there's a big ranching industry there. And then, there are other invasive species that came over on boats or even the canoe, the Polynesians, when they were settling the islands, brought the pig. That was their food source. But since the pig has escaped and is destructive to the hapu'u, which are the ferns, they're endemic species of ferns, they're only found there. There's a lot of beautiful, amazing, flora and fauna that is only found in Hawaii. So the ranchers, Their sheep have escaped, their goats have escaped, and ruminants are highly destructive. So they will just shred an area. And they don't have any natural predators. So the federal government has a program for, exterminating these invasive species. And so they basically do flights in helicopters and take out the herds. And so I felt very comfortable with, hunting. And these animals, their fate was, I guess, to perish. And so I felt that a death by bow, uh, hunting, and feeding families was a more noble death, uh, and a more respectful. I felt that it was quite a dilemma and cruel, and so I took up bow hunting, and we went to the top of Mauna Loa, and there are a lot of mouflon sheep up there, and so we were hunting mouflon. I remember ducking behind rocks as a herd was coming over the mountain, and it was a large herd. And I feel that maybe there was a telepathic or a psychic sense that the sheep had, that there were predators nearby, because as they came over the mountain, we were ducked behind a rock and kind of hiding, right? You kind of duck down when you're hunting, right? They were coming over the mountain. And as they were coming over the mountain, one of the sheep veered off and started to run right towards us. So it was almost as though that sheep knew its fate, or was protecting the herd, or was sacrificing itself in this sort of circle of life. Hawaii is a very mystical place. So you see things, and you're very close to nature. So I feel that is very close to uh, Keakua, God, the heavens. And so you get a different sense, very subtle sense. And so that particular sheep seems to have surrendered himself to us. Uh, so we did take the sheep, and we would clean meat in the trees. So you hang the meat in the tree, and you strip the meat, you clean the animal, and you pack the meat to take home, and you hike out with the meat. And as we were cleaning the sheep, I looked up, and I would say about maybe a foot away, and the branch right above the branch where we were hanging strips of meat, there was an eo, but it was a white eo, and it was beautiful, like this beautiful face. And in Hawaiian legend, white animals are associated with Pele, who is the volcano goddess, and her home is usually Kilauea, but sometimes Mauna Loa. And we were at Mauna Loa. I lived at the top of Kilauea, not quite in volcanoes, but just down the mountain from volcanoes. And anyway, it was just this beautiful animal, and I looked in its eyes, and it looked in my eyes, and so I cut a strip of meat and hung it on the branch for that bird. Um, and the bird took the meat, and so it was like an offering to this bird. But the interesting thing was that I lived in the Ola'a forest, these giant ohia trees, And there was this big ohia right over my kitchen window. And a couple of days after we were hunting, I looked out the window and I looked up and I saw this eel. And it was a white eel. And they're very rare, so I don't know if it was the same bird or not. But for 3 days, that bird was either over in the tree over my window or in another large ohia that was down the path on the property. And I kept seeing this bird for about 3 days, and then it left. And so I started to research the significance of io. And in Hawaiian legend, io takes prayers to Keakua, the heavens, right? So my intention when I purchased this property was to try to preserve the ohia. The ohia forest, I don't even know if there was rapid ohia death at that time. I just knew that the forest was being decimated by development. And my goal was to try to preserve part of this beautiful land. Uh, and I did as long as I could. I had had dreams. I remember having a nightmare and all the trees turned black. Uh, and that's another story. And I don't know if that was a premonition about rapid ohia death, but the ohia are suffering right now. But in any event, the message that I got was that I was there to help protect these trees, and that without the ohia, that the io didn't have a home, and without the io, then prayers couldn't reach the heavens. And that was just really beautiful. Uh, yeah, and I wanted to share because that was a mystical and magical experience, and I felt very in tune. The interesting thing is that I now live in the mainland and I'm close to the Ozarks because I have to be close to trees. Mm, yeah, I just have to be close to trees. And I'm in a suburban area and I have trees outside my house and there are so many hawks here and they fly by my window all the time. I get to see hawks all the time. And so I feel that connection still. I see them, and as I see them, I realize that I'm in the right place and on the right path. Uh, yeah, so I wanted to share that story of Io and Keakua and the beautiful Ola forest and the Ohia Lehua trees. And one day I'll talk about Ohia Lehua and the legends and surfing experiences and Honu and a lot of the animal friends I had there. Yeah. So anyway, that is going to be, I guess, story one of a series of stories I have intention to complete so that I can get these experiences recorded. Uh, yeah, and share them. So have a wonderful, magical day. Aloha.